Hey there, fans. It's us again. Welcome to Alpha Nerds, what I believe is episode 10. But is it? Who fucking knows? Mind your goddamn business, though. How about that? Joining me today is Seth, the man, the myth, the legend, and the constant professional, Seth Slykehouse. How are you doing, my friend?
I got one thing to say to start the show off.
What's
Fuck the
up?
CCP.
Fuck the CCP. Gotcha. Fuck it. All right, podcast over. It's been a great show.
Bam.
Uh, and
That's
I, of
gonna that's
course,
gonna immediately get us delisted on YouTube.
I'm well. I'm. You know what? If it gets us listed then delisted, I'm with it. But I am your humble host, Pedro, the consummate patient, just like a warm glass of milk. Karaskia. I'm just very comforting. Also, I don't like warm milk, so I don't know why I said that. But anyway, this is Alpha Nerds 10. How you feeling, my friend?
I feel great, dude. I've had a great day. I've had a fantastic day.
I'm
Even
glad. I'm damn glad to hear that.
I woke up today and I got my first real American barber cut. Right.
Oh,
So
yeah. How you achieve that? Yeah.
before this, I'd only ever gone to fucking Walmart, and
Super
they're
cuts.
walking, yeah. Uh, and my buddy recommended me because Walmart's getting a little, they're whatever super. I don't know if are they owned by Walmart?
I have
I don't know.
probably at this point. What doesn't
They're getting a
Walmart
little
own?
ballsy, right? Because they're starting to charge like $25. They're raising the prices a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and my buddy at work was like, "No, dude, go to Craft Barber downtown. They do a great job. It's same price." And I did. So I was like, "All right, yeah, I'll give it a shot." I liked what I saw, and I scheduled the appointment today. It was over an hour long haircut.
Oh,
Yeah, the guy was very professional, and it was funny because he was. I was talking to him. I was like, "Yeah, this is like my first time going to like a barber shop," and he's like, oh, "Okay." And he started going into his history, and it turns out he was a history major
oh, cool.
who ended up becoming a barber via no jobs available in the history major field, but he was a huge fan of Game of Thrones,
Ah, okay.
and he was explaining to me that like Game of Thrones tickles that history button for him
That makes
because
sense. Big lore.
yeah, yeah, there's so much lore and history to go through. Um, yeah, great guy. Definitely gonna go back. But then we went up to a state park, Kinsua Bridge today, me and
Yeah.
Caitlin, and we had a blast. And I got back at 4 and went to bed.
Yeah. Hit
So
the old nappy nap.
yep, woke up for this podcast.
I appreciate that. You know, the haircut's got you looking good. That's good flow you got going
Thank you.
there. Yeah,
It
I like
was
it.
way overdue. It was way overdue because it was pissing me off. It was getting my ears, stabbing me in the eyes, and the
Stab.
only reason it was that long was because I was procrastinating.
Uh,
That's it.
so you
Yep.
weren't just getting the flow going. You weren't letting the
No.
mane grow.
For a hot minute, I did contemplate just continuing to let it grow and get like a mullet look going on.
I support a good mullet.
Yeah, and I was like, I can't do that. It's not in me. It's not who I am.
You just didn't want to wake up single one day. It's the mullet. Can't do it.
The one day I did shave off my beard and I had a straight like cop stash,
Oh yeah, I'm
and
all about that.
I did it just to mess with my girlfriend, and she threw a fit. She hated it.
Kill it! Kill it! Ah!
Yeah, she's like, I don't even know who you are.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear you had a good day, buddy. That's pretty.
Yeah,
That's pretty good. You seem in good spirits. My day wasn't
I
too
am in good
bad.
spirits.
It wasn't too bad. I took my Switch to work with me today because I realized like I usually on my lunch break have an hour to kill. I'm like, why don't I just game? So I just gamed for like an hour, and it was nice. I was like, huh.
Yeah, that's what I do at work. You know, I'll sit there and I'll throw on my remote play or
Mm-hmm.
something like that because you know I have a chemical repulsion to playing the Switch for some reason.
That is weird.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I just the Switch is a console that has the games that should be built for me, but I just can't do it, man. Can't do it.
See,
And like the thing is that like there's games that I want to play on the Switch. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get to that, but I'm not. I know deep
no, you're
inside
not.
I'm never gonna get to it. I'm not.
It's the stinky Switch, as
Yeah, I've only ever
another
beaten one
podcast would
game on
say.
Switch. Yeah.
Oh,
But the reason I opened the show the way I did was because I don't know if you saw the news that Imran Khan got laid off. Do you know who this guy is?
nope.
He's one of the clique, and he was
What?
working for Fanbyte,
Ah, I heard they had a bunch of layoffs.
and he publicly came out like a few months ago and was like, someone people called out all the normal shit they call out for the people who work at Fanbyte, and he went on this tirade of like basically fuck the CCP type thing, and then he immediately got laid off like 2 weeks later, maybe 2 months later. Yeah, it's like, and they did it while he was sleeping at night too, or some shit like that. Like
What?
yeah, they like sent him a text or something like that. Like, hey,
Like,
your
hey, don't come
services
into
are no
work
longer
tomorrow.
needed. Yeah,
That's fucked. I heard
that guy's
Fanbyte
super
is like
toxic.
kind of a douchey media outlet. I heard they're not very well
They
liked.
are. They are like the Huffington Post.
Oh
Yeah.
no. I've never even heard of Fanbyte. Like, I feel like I'm so out of the loop where I'm like, what the
I
fuck?
try to be these days, dude. I try to be. Like, I cannot stand games media. Like, I absolutely hate them. But I did see in the Last Stand Media Facebook group, someone posted it. So I was like, ha, fuck that
Yeah.
guy.
Aside
He sucks.
from, because I guess like you and I kind of fell out of favor with the games media around the same time, and I feel like I created my own little echo chamber where and this is where I guess like if you're a bigger podcast, they talk about it where like going to these sites is like dead. Like I don't really that's not where I consume my media or games news. Like usually I just if there's a YouTuber I like or an influencer, that's who I follow and that's where I get my news or I get it directly from Sony, Microsoft or Nintendo. So I'm able to formulate my own opinions and because and then half the time like I see like a website like Kotaku and they'll just like put out an article like oh this is this or like just saying some really mean shit and I'm like oh wow how are you allowed to do that?
They are outwardly toxic.
Yeah,
And that is why the offer is still up to box me for charity. We will do a whole Rocky 3 situation, you know. I'll even call myself Thunderlips,
I'm in.
and we will just go to town.
Okay.
Any of these motherfuckers. Give me a reason to get in shape, please.
Give me a reason to get in shape. That's
Begging you.
listen. I would pay very good money to see that. Probably, yeah, probably a nice dollar. I would say pay to see that.
I would pay $2,000.
Okay, you pay them
I
two
would pay
grand.
$2,000. I would because like my idea is like we each put in, right?
Uh-huh.
And winner gets to donate that money to the charity of their choice.
Okay.
And then like, if you don't do it, you're a scumbag.
Yeah, that's true. That I like it. Back them into a corner morally. I like it.
Flare up, throw down.
Yep, that's the motto here. So, fuck the CCP. I'm with you. What else has been going on for you, buddy?
Well, I started reading Berserk. I don't know if are you familiar with Berserk?
I've heard of it. I've never watched it.
So, Berserk is like the father of. I don't know if you could say the father of shonen anime because it's not really true. Berserk is like the father of the dark adult action manga,
Uh-huh.
and it's long running. It's got over 300 chapters.
It's been
But
recommended to me.
It's really good. It's specifically designed for adults. Like think like if every other anime is marketed towards, or I think any other manga is marketed towards, young teens. Berserk is directed towards like adults who don't fuck around.
I'm with you. Okay.
For instance, in well, I don't want to spoil it. I don't, and I also feel like that if I talk about it, um, people are gonna be pissed. So I will say that there's a lot of sexual assault. There's a lot
Oh
of
no.
um, murder, super graphic gore. I mean, they do not play around in Berserk. And if you're interested, and I think you should be because it's really, really good, um, you can watch the 3 Berserk movies on
I've
Netflix.
been wanting to do that. I have not had
Do
time.
it, dude. Whenever you find time, watch those movies just one at a time. You know, boom, boom, boom. They get progressively better, in my opinion, and there is a huge twist. If and first off, when you go in them, don't look anything up
Nope.
about Berserk. Right, just go in expecting a giant dude with a massive sword cleaving motherfuckers up.
That
That's all you need,
you've
right?
got my attention. I'm in.
There's a giant twist in Berserk, and you will not see it coming. But once it happens, you're gonna be like, "Oh my god, it's led up to this point. Like everything's led up to this point," and then the series takes a twist or takes a turn from that point forward. Um, but absolutely fantastic. It's a shame that the creator died. Thankfully, his like apprentice or whatever is continuing the series, um, because it is really really cool. And also, heavily inspired Elden Ring, so
Oh,
that's pretty cool too.
that's
Yeah,
cool. That's
like you
kind of fun
can
to know.
literally get like the main character's name is Guts. You can literally get like his armor and sword in the game.
Oh, that's badass.
Um,
Do you currently have
yeah,
them?
yeah, I do have them in
Okay,
the game. Yeah.
I respect it.
Dude, I went hard on Elden Ring when it first came out. I don't know if I ever told you about that.
No, I mean I know you got to
Yeah,
some fire boss, and then was that
yeah,
you or
I
was
did.
it?
I went really hard. It was the first Souls like game I got really into, and I went hard. I was playing it at work, via remote play,
Oh wow,
and when you play remote play, there's like a
you'll lag.
slight delay,
Yeah.
and you got to be on your shit to play the Souls like games. So um, that was difficult, but I was so addicted to that game that's how I was playing it. Been wanting to
Wow.
play Sekiro. Been wanting to get into that Sekiro game, but I have not yet.
Dude, I remember, and this is when we were living together, but like I went in hard on Sekiro, where like not that I played it a ton, but like I was in on the hype train because I feel like that was like
Yeah,
games, one of the first like games in like that Ronin Edo period. I'm like, this is the one. I played it for like an hour, got my shit pushed in. I'm like, oh well, don't like this. I
yeah,
still have the letter opener.
you gotta be fucking like mentally in the zone when you start these games. I
Yeah,
feel like where you view it like a fucking challenge instead of a video game like we're used to.
right.
Like if you view it like a mountain to overcome instead of like a story, then I think that's how you have to approach them. Because for me, when I was going into Elden Ring, I was like, all right, it's time. Let's fucking go. Let's do this.
See, I used to think I was bad at Souls games. Now I kind of don't know because I'm at the very end of Bloodborne, and I'm like way under leveled. But like I'm looking back, I'm like, well, I couldn't have gotten this far if I was like bad or inept at the game. Like it's not that. I think I just it's weird. I like a challenge, but I don't. Like sometimes like as I get older, and I used to not believe this, but I think as you get older, you either get worse at games or your patience is like, geez, like I don't have time to fucking sit here and grind for 2 days to learn how to beat this guy. Don't got that kind of time. So
That's honestly where I'm at with them. Is that like I don't want to waste the time in order to do that. I don't have. I think when you're a kid, you have as much free time as possible.
yeah,
But when you're an adult, it's like I don't have that much free time, and the free time that I do have, I want to enjoy. So
hmm
it's for me. It like I said, you have to be in a certain mindset, I think, but also the Souls games play so different than um, any other games from the last 15 years. They play almost like a PS1 game,
yeah,
very slow and methodical and non-responsive. but they're once you understand the flow, it's like a switch flips, and all of a sudden now you can do really good. It's weird. It's hard to explain, but I think people that have played them and have gotten good at them understand what I'm talking about. And honestly, like the one thing I don't like is how ambiguous the games are, because would like a tutorial book really kill you? You know, like I
Right.
understand that you want me to discover the game, but when you're like allotting stat points and shit like that into a game where you can't reset those points for like 15 hours,
Yeah, it sucks.
you can really fuck yourself over. You know, like you could tell me what some of these stats do, things like that, that I think would be a lot more beneficial to people. But Sekiro's calling my name because it's very fast paced. Um, but you know what really bugs me about this genre, Pedro, is that people call it Soulsborne.
Yeah, and I
Just
don't.
call it fucking Souls like or
Yeah,
something like that. There's
because
one Bloodborne game.
yeah, because
That's it.
and it's weird because From created literally both those games. So I'm like, what the like? So just call it a Souls.
Yeah, it's not like Metroidvania.
Right.
Metroidvania makes sense, but we're calling something Soulsborne when there's only one Bloodborne game and there's essentially 4 Dark Souls games.
Right.
It's very odd.
So hold a gun to your head now that you mentioned Metroidvania. Which one? Which one's the better franchise? Like, is it Symphony of
Between
the Night or Super Metroid for you?
oh, Castlevania for sure. Like I think Metroid is massively overrated.
I agree.
I I don't think it's even that fun to play, to be honest with you. I know I'm gonna get crucified for that, but
Probably not. There's like two
Castlevania's
Metroid fans ever. Like, I'm
Castlevania's
one of
just
them.
got the whole vibe, dude. You get the castle and the medieval structure
Yeah,
and the challenge, and
yeah.
to this day have not beat a Castlevania game.
I've beaten my fair share of Castlevania games, but
I heard those 3D action games on the PS3 were very good.
yeah, they're decent. They're decent. I'm a 2D Castlevania guy. Like, I'm not a 3D guy. Well, all right, I'm lying because one of my favorite all time Castlevania games is Lament of Innocence, which is on the PS2, and that's like a 3D Castlevania. But I fuck with the 2D Castlevanias, like especially the ones that are like in that Metroidvania style where you can explore and all that like that. Like those games just speak to me in a certain way. That's why on the last show I said I fuck with Metroid Dread just because it scratched a certain itch for me where and a game like this shouldn't do it. But I remember when I got Metroid Dread, it was around the right time. It came out around the fall. It's kind of dark out, like, and I'm playing on my nice 70-inch TV with the sound bar, and I'm just get the music, the ambiance. I'm exploring. Like, I beat that game in like 9. I think it's on our Instagram page. I beat that game in like 9 hours 53, I think, minutes. But it felt like I played that game for 20. And Castlevania is the same way where like it just the exploration and the boss fights, it's got a simplicity to it, but it's still deep combat systems, deep exploration where you get rewarded just for your curiosity. I don't know, those games like have a special place in my heart where I just anytime one of them comes out, I'm in on it. Like, and I've been saving Bloodstained Ritual of the Night for like around now. Like, I'm gonna probably dabble into that. And with that being said, we can get into what we're playing. Why don't you lead us off, buddy? What you got for me? What you got for Daddy?
Um, so still, I mean, every other weekend I work 36 hours in a weekend.
What a stud!
So I haven't that was just this past weekend. So I haven't played too much since the last episode. But what I have played has pretty much all gone into Ghosts of Tsushima,
Mm.
and I'm still feeling the same way I felt before, where I'm not really vibing with this second chapter of the game. But I think it might just be due to my own fault because I just am having trouble not doing the side stuff because the side
It's
stuff is
so good,
so
yeah,
good. Yeah, and it's just like, man, Mike, dude, have just started chapter 2,
yeah,
right? And my character is almost out of abilities to upgrade.
yeah,
Like, I'm pretty much like maxed out as far as abilities
yeah.
go. So I'm not really sure like what I'm doing here. Um, but I do enjoy it, and contrary to what I said last week, am noticing that like the enemies in the second chapter are very different,
Okay.
and they're different. They're different enough to throw me off of my game quite a bit because by the end of the first chapter, I was absolutely steamrolling like 20 to 30 enemies in an encampment at one time, and now they introduce different enemy types, and they're a lot more challenging, and you have to adjust for them on the fly, which I'm a big fan of, such as like
Okay.
the enemy samurai characters and whatnot. It's pretty cool. Um, so other than that, though, me and Caitlin started playing Life is Strange, which I've already played through the first couple of chapters, but I thought that'd be a good game for her to play. So
So
me and
she
her have been
is
playing that
she
together.
more into just anime and nerd culture? Or is she a gamer herself these days?
No, she's more into just like anime and nerd culture. She hasn't really played too many games. She's big into like Animal Crossing,
Mm,
um, but she wasn't vibing with Life is Strange at first. She wasn't really getting the whole premise, but by the end of the chapter, she said she really liked it and she wants to play more of it. So
that's good. That's good.
we'll see. I think Life is Strange, the first one anyway, is really good. I haven't played any of the other stuff from Life is Strange. The latest one, something colors, does not seem very cool, but whatever. The main character from the new Life is Strange, I think her power is like empathy, right?
Oh God, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, True Colors.
Her power's
Yeah,
empathy.
she can like
She can understand the feelings of others. She can relate to people.
y-
What a
yeah,
skill.
yeah. I'm not really sure. Like, I haven't played it, right?
Hmm.
But it just seems very not fun.
That doesn't sound fun.
No, I don't know though.
Like imagine sitting in that
Whatever,
pitch meeting, like, all right, new character. Her power's empathy, guys. Empathy.
dude. I I fuck with these story based games. I really
They're
do.
great.
Like I think they're great. And I'll tell you what the best one was, and it's we got fucking shafted with it. Was Batman, the Telltale
Oh my
Batman
God,
series.
yeah, those were so good.
We took a fucking fat L, dude. Those were some of my favorite games of all
Yeah,
time.
they're
Is the
great.
Batman Telltale series because they took a massive risk in how they approached the story.
I loved it. I
Um,
loved every second of it.
Me too. And they changed how they were telling Batman's story, and I thought it was really really cool because they approached it from we can't retell the comic books because people are
Right.
going to know what's coming, which is contrary to how we've been given comic book stories for the last 15 years with movies and them just retreading old comic book plot lines. So I thought it was really 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 cool.
I could
But
see
what have
those
you been
making a
doing?
comeback. The Telltale license game. I know they're making the Expanse, which that's going to be fun.
I just want them to finish the story of Telltale Batman. Like whatever they were trying to tell with like Catwoman,
Yeah, finish that
fucking
story for
like,
me.
finish it, man.
Yeah. So
God.
for me, definitely been a light load on the gaming since our last show. Just like been busy. Just yeah, and that's a tough thing with like being an adult. And this is gonna be definitely some first world problems, but like you get busy, so you got your job, and then once you're off work, you got to take care. Got to take care of the dwelling. If you got animals, they need attention and time, and then hanging with family and social gatherings where, um, every like on Sundays we usually watch football and have people over for Game of Thrones. So like it gets tough to kind of squeeze in the gaming time these days, but side note, for football, I cooked a wonderful spread. I will have you know. So last weekend, I made wings. Yeah, your boy can cook wings.
You made wings.
Yeah,
How'd you make them?
I air fried them. So uh,
Makes sense.
yeah,
Makes
but I
sense.
used a technique that you taught me about, like with cutting the sauce with butter.
That's
Yeah,
how you do it.
yeah, and so I did a little
That's how
bit
you do
of
it.
sweet Carolina barbecue, and then Old Bay, and they came out wonderful. Then on that same spread, I had sausages that I also air fried because I have two air fryers. Um,
Why do you have two air fryers?
just sometimes
Just
when
ended up with two.
yeah, when you need to buy a second one because you gave your first one away, then it was given back to you. You're like, oh, now I have two. Uh, but it comes in handy because like when we got to do some cooking and I gotta work my magic on the air fryer, we got two of them bitches going. So
Air fryers are
I,
sweet.
I love the air
I
fryer.
I
I
uh,
swear
I
by it.
fuck with the air fryer.
I could if I
Yeah,
could just
pretty
like
sweet.
have an air fryer and not need a stove, I'm with it. But dude, I air fry literally everything. Like I steak, pork. But then I discovered Aldi's pizza. I fuck with Aldi's pizza. Like
I don't
specifically their
I don't
meat
have an
lovers.
Aldi's
Oh,
around me.
oh, dude, their pizza. I'm not gonna say because I still think I'm still a DiGiorno guy at heart, but
Okay.
like frozen pizza wise,
Yeah.
like Aldi's is up there. Like I on the frozen pizza scale, they're a solid 7.5 for me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because like they're meat lovers. Like it was so good, and it's got like good integrity where you if you like fold it, it doesn't just flop over like a sloppy dick. Like it just holds its integrity and it's crunchy. Um, so I was like blown away because like I seen the pie was like $5.99. I'm like, damn, that's fucking cheap. So
Yeah. Walmart's refrigerated pizza is very good as well.
yes,
But you know what I'm coming to realize? I don't think I'm a meat lovers guy. I like just classic pepperoni pizza, man.
yeah,
I think when you throw too much meat
yeah,
on,
you can fuck up.
it starts to just kind of get like I'm eating like a meat sandwich or something
Right,
like that. I don't know.
I get
I'm
you.
not about it.
It has to be the
But what
right
I
meat
will
lovers.
say, what I will say is, our one Mr. Watson Thompson put me on to the red peppers on
Yeah.
the pizza. Red peppers and like beef, and that is delicious. I will say that.
Mm.
Big about the red peppers.
You know, we could go on a whole deep dive on pizza because I like pizza's probably my all-time favorite food. Like I just like when we were living together, it was nothing for me to order some Pizza King and just fuck up a pizza. Like it was pretty common in that house for like Pizza King to be delivered at at whatever time of the night. And I'm like sitting here thinking like, was that good pizza or did I just have no other options? Because I remember loving it.
No, it's not, dude. Listen to me. I will die on this hill that Pizza King fucking sucks. All right, and I'm sorry if the employees of Pizza King someday hear this, but do better. Your crust is completely flavorless. What you have is dry baked dough. You made me bread, all right, and that's it. And you gotta have some sort of like garlic seasoning or something. And also you overflour your dough
I agree with that shit.
because there's too much fucking flour all over it when I pick it up and it gets all over my hands
Yeah.
and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it.
So if why did we order it so much?
I didn't. I did not. Also, I think you're overstating how much we ordered it because me and you, if you remember correctly,
Yeah.
were dieting really hard in that house.
True. This is true.
We were not fucking around when we were dieting because and you know what, man, that was the best situation for us because we
Yeah.
were bouncing off of each other,
Yeah.
keeping that energy going, and now alone,
Yeah. Not doing
I
great.
don't have I don't have it.
Yeah. Not
I need
ideal
my I
here.
need my boy to have my back in order to keep me straight. It
Yeah.
is what it is.
I agree because I fell like once I moved, I stayed on the keto wagon for a bit, then fell right the fuck off. But I just remember maybe it's for like the first couple months living together. Like I just feel like I ordered it a ton just because I couldn't. That's back when I like didn't cook, so like now like it's so different. Like I'll be caught dead before I'm ordering out. Like it'll be like desperate times. I'm like I really don't feel like cooking. Let me order out. Or not because once you
That's
cook,
my biggest issue, dude. I I can't bring myself to cook. I
uh,
hate it right now. I don't know what's wrong with me. I fucking cannot stand cooking right now, and I don't know why. I order out so
it's the
much.
dishes. It's the dishes.
And well, see, I switched over to all paper and plastic.
Oh, God bless
I
Caitlin for
did.
allowing this. That's a,
Yeah, I know, dude. We're on the same. We're on the same page with everything.
that
It's
that's
great.
that's fucking beautiful right there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because going
Because
all
she hates
paper's a
doing
move.
dishes too.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is. I still have the ceramics in there.
yeah.
Maybe someday if I have a party or something like that, but I doubt it. I'm not having anyone fancy enough that I give a fuck about to have
I respect that.
ceramics.
No, going all paper is. I would love that because like then you just never have dishes. Like fuck that, don't need dishes.
Yeah,
But
so I don't know.
yeah, but like back to what I was saying, like it's like a cold day in hell before I order out because like I'll never order a steak. Like not to toot my own horn, but I like the way I make steak. So it's just kind of like if I'm gonna go out, I'm like I'll just order this myself. But so when I do go out, it leads me to like try new stuff. So recently when we went out like a couple weeks ago, they had duck on the menu. I'm like, I gotta have the duck. Gotta have the duck because like I can make chicken at home. I can make steak, pork,
Right,
but
right.
not no duck. So, um, kind of got off track there. But gaming wise, I have been just dabbling in Ghost of Tsushima a little bit. I'm kind of in the same area you are, where I'm pretty much maxed out as far as like abilities. Where I think I have maybe one more ability to learn in the fourth stance. I can't remember the name. Is it? I can't. Whirlwind? No, it's not Whirlwind. Moon.
Moon
Yeah,
stance.
I got
Yeah.
one more to learn there, and then I have all the stances, and then I'm learning all the ghost techniques. So like just running around that world, and it's easy for me to get lost in it. But like with the lack of time, it's hard. Like I won't sit down and play Ghost of Tsushima if I only have an hour. Like I'm not gonna fucking like I need minimum 2 hours for me to just get the fuck in there and do my thing. And it's tough because it's like because I wouldn't consider Ghost of Tsushima like a deep RPG. Like I wouldn't say that about that game, but like it still demands its time. Where you don't even want to get into excuse me, you don't even want to get into a quest line or a side story if you don't know you have enough time to finish it. Because the number one thing I hate, and I think you can attest to this, is when you're in the middle of a side quest and you have to stop.
Yes, that's true. And Ghost of Tsushima pisses me off because there is no skippable dialogue,
Yeah,
so you can't even rush.
right,
You can't even like fly through it and just read it. You have to listen, and I'm like, ugh,
right.
I hate that. Hate that.
Yeah, and it's tough, but so I've been playing that, and then I've been looking at my game collection and just trying to find like smaller experiences. I was gonna tell my girlfriend this like yesterday. I'm like, all right, I need something like mindless. I don't need to think. It's just pick up and play and just get in there and get out. So I can if I got 30 minutes here, or we're just laying in bed, for maybe 45 minutes before I have to go to sleep. Let me do some gaming. So picked up the Switch. I know, the stinky, stinky Switch, and I realized, as you know, I'm a huge Sonic fan, massive Sonic fan,
Right.
and I'm looking at my collection like, oh yeah, fuck, I forgot I had Sonic Mania. Like I literally bought.
Oh.
I had it on PS4. I literally bought it on PS4, like the digital version, and then
Hmm.
because I have no self control, I bought Sonic Mania Plus on Switch when it first came out, and proceeded to never play it. And then so I'm like looking at my collection, like, oh yeah, fuck, I love 2D Sonic. That's the shit I fucking love. So I played an hour of it last night, and it all came back to me. Like it was like I was a kid again, just playing the Genesis stuff, and getting
God,
my
God bless you.
rings and doing all that. But you know what the worst feeling in the world is, and when you're getting old.
Having to go to sleep because you got work in the
Well,
morning.
that yeah. Um,
I don't know
the,
what's up.
the well, second to the surprise you're late shit, that sucks. But
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's the worst.
But I was sitting there playing, and I noticed I started getting some pain in my thumb, in
Hmm.
all
Yep.
reliable, the gaming
I
thumb.
I do experience this. Yep.
And I'm like, oh no, like, can I not do platformers? Like, because like I've never had that happen where my hand hurts after playing a game. And here's the thing: I have a confession to make, because I know this isn't the first time I've noticed this. I was if you see over there, I have an arcade cabinet, and that's my X-Men versus Street Fighter arcade cabinet. One of my prized possessions.
Legendary.
Yes, and
Yes.
I sometimes I like to play it every once in a while when I'm down here in the basement slash game room. That's now no longer a cat nursery, thank God. And I was sitting there playing it, and I tried to hit a combo with Ken. Like I tried to do the spinning kick into a Xiaoyu Repa, and I noticed like my hand like kind of locked up. Like it was like, ow. It was like, hey, pal, we don't have the fast fingers over here no more.
Dude, I'm really glad you brought this up because I forgot. I played another game that I have to talk to you about.
Mm.
I was all amped up watching that Tekken 8 reveal, right?
Yeah, to play Tekken
Looks
7.
gorgeous. I got Tekken 7 on PC.
Fuck yeah.
What is going on with Akuma in that game?
Have you played the story mode at all?
No, I haven't. But like, I can't hit his moves. I can't do it. I don't know what
he's an input character.
Yeah, it's not called a Hadouken.
Yeah,
It's the same,
called, yeah.
Same move, but I can't hit it, and I can always hit them.
That's
And I think it's just because I'm not used to playing Tekken. And I have never played a Tekken game before, except for that one E3 we all played it. So I think like the input is slightly different.
Yeah,
and I can't hit his combos, and I'm like getting fucking annihilated with Akuma. And Akuma was like my guy in Street Fighter 4, as you famously fucking know, asshole. And I'm like, I can't play this. I don't understand why I can't play this. But I haven't played any of the other characters. I turned Tekken 7 on for seriously 20 minutes, and that's all I got out of it.
All right, see, I wouldn't consider myself a Tekken guy by any stretch. I'm bad at 3D fighters. I don't know what it is, like except Soul Calibur. I fuck with Soul Calibur. But if I were to make a recommendation for you, I think you should either use Steve Fox. He's a boxer, and like his combos are literally like 1-2, 1-2, 3-4, like. So if you're familiar with the punching combos, and that's going to be your guy, and I think it'll click for you. Like, oh, I'm going to throw 2-2, 4. So, or if you want to throw a jab, I think it's I think it's right up your alley. But and then also, I would recommend King, who is a grappler. So, if you ever do indulge in Tekken, I would recommend those two characters for you, my friend.
So Tekken is extremely story based.
Yes.
Now, again, I'm coming from a super ignorant standpoint, and Akuma is very clearly in the story of Tekken.
Yeah, they tie him into that story. Yeah.
Are we to assume that Street Fighter takes place in the same universe as Tekken?
I feel like I'm gonna go on a limb and say yes, because like.
Crazy.
Akuma has like a connection to one of the characters in the main story, and that's why he is there. Like it's a weird connection, but yeah, I actually, you're kind of making me want to play Tekken, but I just for some reason I was just not great at it. I'm functional. I can win my fair share of matches. Don't get me wrong, but as far as like, would I ever be like, yo, let's have a Tekken tournament? Let's invite some buddies. Fuck no. Like that is strictly casual, and where wins and losses doesn't matter. But what was I gonna say? Robert's pretty good at Tekken. Yeah, I know.
What?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. Well, all right. So sorry, I say good as like he's an Eddie Gordo user, so like I don't know like if that qualifies you as being good or just a spamming fuck, but. We played some Tekken Tag and he fucking whooped my ass. So, hey, hats off to the Sweelie.
I guess, so I looked this up. The official answer is that Street Fighter is canon to Tekken, but Tekken is not canon to Street Fighter.
What?
Yeah.
Hey, you remember we never got that Tekken Cross Street Fighter game?
Yeah, they fucking strung us along for forever, and then they canceled it. I
would love, like... People like fucking Danny O'Dwyer do these stupid ass documentaries on things we don't give a fuck about. Where's that documentary? Where's that? Where's the real journalism at?
Yeah, exactly. He's too busy pretending he's not racist. Right.
So we went way off the rails there. But yeah, so that's all I've been playing is a little bit of Ghost of Tsushima, some Sonic Mania. I have been eyeballing though. There's a lot of RPGs on this fucking Switch, man. A lot of RPGs here.
Yeah, a lot. Too many.
A lot of tasty looking ones. So I think next on my docket here is I think I want to hunker down, and after I finish Ghost of Tsushima, definitely gonna have a little stretch before God of War, and I think I want to take a break from like the big budget AAA exclusive and just maybe bang out like some of these smaller RPGs. So I think I'm gonna target Tokyo Mirage Sessions and hammer that one out.
Finally getting it done, huh?
Yeah, finally getting it done after years.
Nice.
So, so now let's get into the meat and potatoes. 40 minutes into the show. So
Okay.
before we got onto the pod, actually, quick aside: did you watch the Canelo and Triple G fight? By the way,
No, I didn't watch it. I just decided to myself I was gonna go back and watch the highlights, and I
dude.
did. And I was like, I'm glad I didn't watch it.
I mean, thankfully, I didn't pay for the fight. Like one of my friends hosted it here down here. But what is it with fighters when they get old? Like, I get it. Like, you get older, you're an older fighter, but like, you just automatically suck. Like, is that like a thing?
Father Time is undefeated, man. You know,
Yeah,
he
fuck.
catches up to everybody.
Yeah, because Golovkin looked awful, awful.
Well, I mean, the current state of boxing is that every major fight has to be a trilogy, and I'm so over it, man. Like, I'm so over the corrupt judges.
Yeah,
I'm so over all the money in boxing. Like, and I'm just like, God, I don't care anymore, man. Like, you gotta have something. Like, honest to God, and this is gonna sound shitty. Honest to God, the Jake Paul fights are the most interested in boxing I've been in 10
that is
years.
sad.
It is because I'm like, can Jake Paul knock out Anderson Silva? I don't think so, but
Oh,
he's
he's gonna
blasted
beat
everybody else
Silva.
in front
He's
of
gonna
him.
be like these MMA guys. Like, gotta stop going in there and embarrassing themselves. Like, it's fucking
Well,
rough.
you got to remember Silva just it blasted a former champion in boxing, and Silva is no joke. He was a pro boxer before he was an MMA fighter.
Dude, you know how this is gonna go. Like, he's.
I'm not convinced.
It's hard to convince. This is why it's like intriguing because, like you say, like no way he beats this guy. Look at all the experience, and then he's beating the shit out of him because he's just old and has no chin anymore. Like, and it's just like God.
I mean, Anderson Silva did just beat Julio Chavez Jr., who is a much more decorated boxer than anyone Jake Paul has ever fought. So
I don't know, man.
he held the middleweight title from 2011 to 2012. He's the son of the most decorated boxer of all time. That's all I'm saying is that Anderson Silva he's really only been knocked out one time, right?
Yeah.
Jake Paul knocked him out. Or not Jake Paul,
Weidman.
Weidman knocked him out.
Yeah, that's because he was being a dick.
And yes. But also no one else was able to do it.
Yeah.
But he had that legendary fight against Israel Adesanya.
Yeah.
Where he looked smooth and really good. And I just think he could spell some trouble for Jake Paul. Does he have the knockout power anymore? No, but I don't know. Jake Paul's got a nasty right hand. It's unfortunate because I don't want to see it happen. But
listen, I ain't mad at him. Make your money, boo boo. So, moving on to the main topic of the show. So we're talking about gaming, and the topic of villains came up, and nothing makes a video game, especially like a story-based one, like a good fucking villain. And so it got me to thinking, like, all right, like I like a good villain, especially if the villain has a point. Like, because a good villain will will make an argument so compelling that like you're almost inclined to like, you know what, I can fucking relate to this guy. So I think of some villains that come to mind. Famously, I'm a big Metal Gear guy, so I think Metal Gear has always had some of the best villains. I think Liquid Snake and Ocelot, like, I think is one of the most complex villains because there's so many things going behind the scenes. Like, is he a villain? Is he really? Excuse me. Is he really not? Is he more of an anti-hero? So he's one of them. Virgil from the Devil May Cry games is another one where I think they've kind of at some points fumbled the ball with his story, making it a little bit convoluted. But once they kind of massaged that to the point where Virgil, you can be kind of sympathetic with Virgil, but he's an asshole. And I like that. But one of my all-time villain arcs is in a game I know you don't like, but there's a reason. This is the sole reason why I think Yakuza Zero is ahead of Kiwami, because they set up the villain in Kiwami through Yakuza Zero. So, I mean, I don't see you. I don't foresee you finishing Yakuza Zero ever. So, spoiler for Yakuza Zero
No,
here.
I
So,
don't.
and if you didn't play Yakuza Zero, go fuck yourself. But
Whoa.
sure, go fuck yourself. It's been you've had years. So,
God damn.
in Yakuza Zero, Nishiki is like Kiryu's best fucking friend. Best. That's his fucking boy. Like they do everything together. They're fucking ride or die. They're in the Yakuza together, and they go through some shit together. So in the first Yakuza game, that's your fucking boy. In Yakuza Kiwami, they still are friends and all that. And then one of the patriarchs, the Dojima, he kidnaps a love interest that they're both in love with the same girl, and he kidnaps her, and Nishiki goes to rescue her, and then ends up killing the patriarch. Kiryu comes on scene and sees this, and long story short, Kiryu ends up going to jail to keep Nishiki out of jail. Nishiki is viewed as like a weak leader. He's viewed as like not being as strong as Kiryu. So you see this turn to villainy for Nishiki because he becomes patriarch of his own family, and he's got to be cutthroat and do what a yakuza do. And so 10 years pass. Kiryu does his bid, and he gets out of prison, and now Nishiki's the fucking villain. Like he's a fucking bastard. He's like plotting to take over the Yakuza. He's planning assassinations, and it all culminates at the end of Yakuza Kiwami. You end up trading fucking hands with Nishiki. It's a beautiful fucking moment, and that is like some of the best storytelling I've seen in video games, where you just set a premise. Like, Yakuza games are very campy, very cheesy. So like, I'm not saying like, this is a master class by any stretch of the imagination, but like the premise was so good for me that like I was in. I'm like, oh, this is my fucking boy. This hurts. It doesn't have to be this way, but it is. And I just think again, like one of my favorite just arcs and character development. That's why like Nishiki is like one of my all time favorite villains in a video game, because like he's not he's a villain, but like you don't want him to be. You're like, no man, no, like it's not like this. Second, with Yakuza Zero, another one of my favorite villains in this game is do you remember at the end of the first chapter you fight that older Yakuza, Kuze? You remember that fight?
No.
Okay, well,
No, I'm sorry.
you end up fighting this guy 4 times in this game. You fight that same guy 4 times, 4 different boss fights with him, and each time, like he's getting more and more desperate to like take Kiryu down, because he represents like the older generation of the Yakuza and like how relentless they had to be, um and that's all he knows. He doesn't know anything like with planning things out. He's just like a knuckle dragger. Let's fucking fight. Like let's this is how we do stuff. No bullshit. And I can respect that about a villain. And in the fourth fight, Yakuza or Kiryu even says like, dude, like, what are you even fighting for anymore? Because at this point, like every time he gets defeated by Kiryu, he gets like a pinky chopped off. He gets demoted. Like, and he's like, in the final fight, he's like, all I have left is my pride. I'm like, I'm sorry I did this to you, but I have to beat the fuck out of you again.
That is actually sounding pretty familiar.
Yeah.
It does sound pretty familiar, yeah.
So, thoughts on hearing those arcs, sir?
I agree with you on Nishiki, except I remember playing Kiwami, not really getting his motivations, because it seemed a little unnecessary for Nishiki. And I was like, man, you could just like stop, and we could just like be boys again, That's kind of how I felt with Nishiki.
Yeah.
But my personal big ones that come to mind are Andrew Ryan from Bioshock.
Yeah. Would you kindly?
Not necessarily like a combat villain, but a guy that's and they're kind of my favorite villains, I think, because I'm a big fan of Andrew Ryan with his whole plot twist at the end of the game,
Yeah.
and also the elusive man from like Bioshock 2,
I
or
didn't
not
think of
Bioshock,
him.
Mass
Yeah.
Effect 2.
Yeah.
He and after every mission, you see him on the deck just smoking, and you're like, all right, like I know that something's up with this guy. Like I got bad vibes
Yeah.
from the elusive man. And then who else? I've always liked Virgil
Yeah.
from the Devil May Cry series. I think Virgil is a great villain. Um, and I don't know. Let me look up a list of like
So I'm
the
trying to think
best
of
video
like,
game
what
villains
about
of all
Wesker?
time.
How do we feel about Wesker as a villain?
I think the Grand Theft Auto series, or not Grand Theft Auto,
Resident
fucking
Evil.
afford Wesker from Grand Theft Auto. The Resident Evil series is just nonsense when it comes to their stories. So I don't know.
Well, I just think it's crazy because like he's like Resident Evil's been on a fucking journey, man, and um, so Wesker goes from like being this like plotting guy where he's like one of the scientists in on the fucking the
Yeah,
the experiments, and then like
a fucking supervillain.
to a supervillain. Like, I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah.
a supervillain.
So I'm interested to see if he ends up popping up in like if they retcon some stuff, or like that, that whole new universe where they're doing Ari, where it's like, getting some stuff retcon. But he's one of my favorites, just because him just being ridiculous. Like I said, definitely Liquid Snake slash Ocelot, just because like some of his motivations and some of the shit they pull in with his character, even in Phantom Pain, where he's like pulling the strings and like in on the secret that like ends up retconning and like flipping the fucking ending of the NES game on its fucking head, which is like a wild mind fuckery that only Kojima could
Mm-hmm.
pull off. I'm trying to think who else. Oh, definitely Kessler. He's up there for me. Infamous.
Um, Monokuma from
Yeah. Oh my
Danganronpa.
god. Yeah. I need to
He
get a
is
Monokuma
a
doll for down here.
fantastic villain. Yeah, you do. Monokuma. Can't get enough Danganronpa. Did you ever beat Danganronpa 2?
Yeah, I've beaten all the Danganronpa games
I
except for
I
the
never beat
stupid Ultra
Danganronpa 2.
Despair Girls. Didn't beat that because the game sucks. But
Weird choice to make that game
okay,
also.
like
But
I have a confession to make. That game, like the reason I stopped playing, it got to like a weird like. It was almost like like. I don't know how to describe it. Like basically, one of the female characters gets like kind of tied up to a board. There's all these hands touching her, and she's like her face is turning red. I'm like, it's kind of like that ain't
got a
for
little
me.
too pervy for you, huh?
Like that's not for me. Like that, I'm out. Because I even thought like, if you remember playing Danganronpa 2, there's that one character who always ends up in like very precarious positions every time she falls. I'm like, okay, like I'm like, who's this for here? But
I
yeah,
know. That they're making a
they
new
just announced a new game,
detective game,
which I'm in on.
but
I fuck with
I
Spike
don't
Chunsoft.
I don't know if I like the fact that they're just making another Danganronpa.
I'm
It's a detective game, right?
yeah,
But it's not Danganronpa from the
right.
same. I don't know. I'm just not about it.
I'm gonna remain cautiously optimistic, but I'm trying to think of what. I mean, I feel like we're obligated to put Sephiroth on that list as far as of
Yes, Sephiroth.
villains. Yeah, so he's
Oh, here's one that you're not familiar with, but I think a lot of people will vibe with. Is that Arthas Menethil from the Warcraft series?
okay.
Classic chosen one to villain type story.
Mm.
Most powerful knight gets corrupted. Yada yada yada. Becomes the main villain.
You know what that sounds a lot like? The
What?
Legacy of Kain.
Really?
Yeah, because Kain, in the first Legacy of Kain game, obviously, like Kane's the hero. He's like he's more of an
Mm-hmm.
anti-hero. He gets turned into a vampire, but he basically has to do all this shit that ends up. He has the choice to corrupt the pillars of Nosgoth or save them, and he chooses to corrupt them because he just wants to watch the world burn. And then that leads
Huh.
to a split where the Soul Reaver series is created, then Blood Omen's created. So, but Kane is supposed to be like the chosen one, the hero, and he's really just like he does a lot of villainous things but he's doing it all to basically get to like break the chains of fate and to get free will. But like if he
Right.
plays Raziel, like he's just the villain, and so yeah, that sounds a lot like Kane. We gotta play the
A
Legacy of Kane
lot of
games, man. They're fucking beautiful games.
a lot of people are putting Sephiroth really high on the list of best video game villains of all time, and I just don't know if I agree with it. I
I
mean,
don't know.
he's an iconic villain for sure, but I don't know if I agree with him being. There's nothing to Sephiroth. He's
No.
essentially just a cool character design that is a boss fight, and that's kind of the only thing Sephiroth is. I mean, and now I guess if you're including like the Genova type thing where he like taunts you the whole time, I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know.
it just doesn't do it for me. Like I think he's a cool character, and he's got the long
Yes.
sword and the fucking Latin vocals and all that shit. Like he's got a cool aesthetic as far as character development. Um, even like the movie Advent Children, like he was kind of like he was there.
Yeah.
Um, I'm excited to see what they do with him in the remake because I think that's a chance for them to kind of give him some character growth and do some different shit with him. Maybe put
Yeah.
a little bit of depth to his character. So I'm excited for that. But he's definitely on the list because I just think he's so iconic. As just you can't when you think of a villain, like you definitely think of Sephiroth. Like you definitely think of him.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
I'm trying to think who else pops up on the list for me. As far as like villains, because like again, a good villain makes you fucking hate that motherfucker. Like, oh, you fucking dick. Uh,
Yep.
so going back to Final Fantasy, Kefka is definitely up there for me. From 6.
See, never beat Final Fantasy VI. I
Dude,
just everyone says Kefka is like this amazing
it
villain, and I
really
just
is. I would just say play enough of 6 where you just see some of the shit he does and how they tell his story, especially being a sprite based game. Some of the shit they have him doing and the iconic laughter, and he doesn't have any like motivations or a tragic backstory. He's just an asshole, and I can respect like a pure villain like that. He's just like I'm just fucking evil. That's just the way it is. So
maybe I'll jump in there after I beat Ghost of Tsushima. It's probably time.
yeah. I'm trying to think who else like I really. Speaking of PlayStation exclusives, I can't think of his damn name, but from God of War, the god you end up
Ares?
no, the dude from the God of War, the newest one.
Oh,
Where you have that first fight with him and he's the fucking stranger, and it's like a fucking
yeah.
brawl. I'm like this. Like,
Um,
I
what
can't
is
think.
his
I
name?
can't think of his fucking name, but it's like if you can't sit there and tell me like you play that,
Balder.
yeah, like
Balder. That's
no
what it
one
is.
sits there and plays that and is like, yeah, no, this isn't good. Like this sucks. Like how
Yeah.
aren't you just fucking amped to the fucking gills to play that? Like to play,
There's a sect of people who do not like um that God of War game, and I just don't get like our buddy Robert is one of them. He does not like God of War
yeah,
2018,
he's
and
an
I
old
don't
school God of War
understand it.
guy.
Yeah, and but like once you get further into the game, it plays just like old school God of
Yeah, I
War.
agree.
Um, so I don't know, but I thought that was one of the most incredible games I've ever played in my life.
Yeah, I remember playing it. I'm like, I don't want this to end. Like this is great.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think who else in that in like the pantheon of villainy. I'm trying to because I don't want to say like the classic ones. Like I don't want to say like the Joker because like I feel like he's more of a comic villain. He's not really a video game villain. Like he just so
yeah.
happens to be in video games. I'm trying to think as far as other villains. Yeah, I think that might be it for me as far as like memorable villains. Because now, because like we look at a game like Trails, right? Like there's so many antagonists, I would say, but there's no like actual fucking just dastardly villains. It's like
No, and they kind of ruin it, I think, in Trails by making all the fights that happen over and over and over again. And eventually it's not really that climactic anymore. Because you're
yeah,
like, all right, well, we know no one's dying after this fight. It feels like a Dragon Ball fight, right? Like,
yeah,
or a comic book fight. It's like, all right, well, no one's going to die. Hopefully this is just fun.
yeah.
That's
So
kind of how I feel.
yeah, so it's just like that's what's tough about that game because like it's got such deep storytelling and they do a really great
Hmm.
job building the world and characters and but I think they do a piss poor job of like setting up villains where there's actual like fear what's going to happen to a character like like oh shit like a big moment for a Trails game is when someone just straight fucking dies and like
Yeah,
I just feel like while those moments appear to happen they don't really happen and I
right.
just think like somebody you know you just need like a Game of Thrones moment where it's fucking just someone gets fucking off and you're like whoa wasn't
Yeah.
expecting that so
Oh, I would like to shout out the Wild Hunt from The Witcher
I need to
3.
play these games.
Those motherfuckers are exactly what we're talking about. They're just there, and you're like, let's finally do this. Let's get this shit done with.
Yeah.
Square up, throw down.
So last thing we'll speak on this topic. But what's your favorite boss fight of all time?
You know what? I'm gonna say it. I think my favorite. Well, it's a spoiler. Is it though? Yeah, it is. My favorite boss fight is the final boss fight from Devil May Cry 5.
Okay.
Um, because you have so much energy going into that, where like things get revealed, and the main character just has like a massive power up, and you just roll into that final boss fight, and you're like, "Fuck you, let's go." Super, super good, super good.
Okay.
What about you, bud?
See, it's tough because there's a couple of them that are like up there for me. I think in Final Fantasy IX when you fight Kuja for the last time, I think that's a pivotal moment. That's a big one. I would say the final boss in Nocturne, where you're depending on which ending you get, but if you do the true like neutral run, you fight God, and that's just a good time. And then
I think that's every Shin Megami game, right? Like the
huh?
final boss is like the
Yeah,
god.
yeah, but only if you take the neutral route because like if you have to take the neutral route because I don't. Are you familiar with like the way SMT games are actually set up?
Yeah, you explained it to me before.
Okay.
The neutral,
Yeah, the
lawful,
neutral,
evil.
chaos, and
Right.
law. All right, so
Yeah.
yeah, but usually the canon path is neutral. So you take that path and then you fight. You kill Metatron and then you kill Lucifer and then you fight. Which I don't really know what his name actually is because it's always like YHYH, which I don't really know what that means, but it's always that. And then like when they go to say his name, it's always like a record stops like they don't like actually say a name, but
Oh, like the Trails of Cold Steel 4 thing.
yeah. So there's those fights, but I think I'm gonna go with, and this is probably not gonna be a surprise to you, fighting Revolver Ocelot in Metal Gear Solid for the first time.
I was wondering when it was gonna come up.
Yeah, not because most people go Psycho Mantis, which I get why. Like it's a memorable moment. He moves your controller if you set and this is like the fucking shit people think of where it's like, oh yeah, set the controller down. If it vibrates, of course it's gonna move. So he's like gonna seem like he's moving it with his fucking mind. Like I like
Hmm.
that. But when you first fight Revolver Ocelot, you're fighting, and then like one of the there's like some important political figure like tied up to a bunch of Semtex, and if you fucking shoot wrong, like you could blow him up. And I just think with the music where he's like talking to shit, like who's the villain now, Snake, blah 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 blah, and that's also the scene where he loses his fucking hand because Ninja cuts it the fuck off. So I just think like that's just one of my all time favorite fights, just because it's just so memorable for me. because that's the mark of a good boss fight. Like it's gotta be, you gotta remember it.
Yeah, I would say now the game in the Metal Gear Solid series that I've played most is 3, but I would say I remember all those boss fights very well. Especially the Revolver Ocelot boss fight, the first one. Yeah. That one is just a really cool, really fun boss fight. The one boss fight that will always stick with me forever is the fucking sniper boss fight.
Yeah.
I hate that. But after I did it once, I think I always did the cheat
Yeah.
to beat him.
Yeah, I did it once and did the
After
cheat
that.
because I'm like, dude, this dude sucks.
Yeah. But I never did the fast forward your console and let him die. I always did the kill him when he's in the wheelchair.
Oh.
Sneaking up to the base. That's how I always did it.
See, I always just let him die just because I'm a big stickler for stealth. So I'm like, I don't want that type of smoke. Like where I'm just fucking offing a dude.
Well, if I remember correctly, when you shoot him during his first appearance in the wheelchair,
Yeah.
you don't get detected. Like,
Oh really?
the wheelchair like blows up or something like that. Yeah, I remember like a wheel one of his wheels goes flying towards you.
Oh wow, I've never shot him, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, because there's only one place you can find the sniper rifle, and you have to hold on to it until you get to that spot, and then you can pop him from a long distance.
That's funny as
You have
shit.
like a really tight time to do it. Like you got to be on your shit to do it. But I always did that after I beat him the first time.
Just pop them.
Yep.
That's so shitty.
Easiest way to kill him.
Yeah,
Easiest way.
It's crazy to think about because like, yeah, I better shoot this guy now because he's gonna fuck my shit up here later.
Yep.
That's I love a fucking good boss fight, and I feel like Metal Gear always has like the best ones. Like, or no, I wouldn't say best because I think there are games that have done better ones, but they're just so memorable. And that's I remember like playing the Phantom Pain. That's what I hated was like there was no Metal Gear moment where even like Guns of the Patriots, you end up fighting Psycho Mantis again, and it's really funny because like he tries to like make your controller vibrate and read the memory card, but you know, on PS3 there's no memory card, and then it's 6-axis. So he goes like, "All right, I'm gonna move your controller with my mind. 6-axis? What the hell is that?" It's like he's like so out of
I do
touch.
remember people talking about that.
It's
Yeah.
really funny. So I thought that was pretty good. But yeah, like they just have like memorable fights, or even like a Metal Gear Solid 2. When you fight Fat Man, he's fucking mad bomb run roller skates. Like it's drinking a glass of wine. It's like fucking wild. But yeah, this a good boss fight can like make or break a game because like famously some games have like really bad boss fights, and I can like ruin games, and it's not great.
Yeah, definitely. I know Colin Moriarty talks all about Wolfenstein 2, that final boss fight at the end.
Yeah, like sucks.
I don't know if I ever had a boss fight that like had made me quit a game though. I don't know.
No.
Can't think of any off the top of my head.
There's a couple that like are a little tough, and going back to the SMT games, like some of those boss fights at the end are so fucking hard that like they make me want to quit. I'm like, this isn't even like I'm not, like they make them so hard that like you're not having fun. Because like those cast stat debuffs, insta kill moves, all this fucking shenanigans.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my, like all right,
Yeah,
like I get it.
That's true.
You know what boss I never could beat? At the end of Final Fantasy 13. I can never beat that guy.
Dude, Final Fantasy 13 had some underrated hard ass bosses. That Bartandalus.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The
was
fucking
a motherfucker.
Yeah, at the end, don't you fight him one more time in the cradle?
I never beat it. I got stuck on Final Fantasy. I got stuck on Final Fantasy 13 back in the day. When
Wait, did you skip
you fight Bartand? Did I skip to what, 13 too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
I wasn't, because I didn't really like Final Fantasy 13. But I got it far enough where you fight Bartandalus for like the second time.
Yeah.
And he's casting the Aga spells, and you haven't
sucks.
even unlocked the second level. He just blasts the shit out of you. And I'm like, I can't fucking finish this. So I guess that is one boss fight that has made me quit a game.
Yeah, dude, I've gotten. Here's what's sad about my history with Final Fantasy 13. I've gotten to that. I don't know if there's a boss after that, but I've gotten to like the last fight with him specifically twice on two separate consoles, and I've never beaten it. And I'm just like,
That is the one that got away, bud.
dude, I have this like really weird history with Final Fantasy 13. Like, it's just like, for some reason, I'll play it and like, this is the time. And I've done this like 3 or 4 times where I'll get super far. I think the last time I played it, I got to where it opens up on Pulse, and I stopped playing.
Dude, 13's cast of characters ruins it for me. I
It's
hate
brutal.
that cast. I hate that cast so much. And it says something because I actually really like Lightning.
Uh huh.
And I think 13-2 is great. I think Sarah and can't
Noel.
remember the hair. Noel are like really good co-protagonists.
Yeah.
And I think 13-2 is really good. And I also think Lightning Returns was pretty good. But man, Snow and Vanille and Fang and Hope, they're terrible characters, dude. They're so annoying.
Yeah. I have a weird history with the 13 series where I said I only played 13, and because I never beat 13, I never played 13-2, and then obviously I never played Lightning's Return. So I'm just
Yeah.
like, and I feel like here's this other thing. I know before on the show we talked about like weird eras of gaming, and so I don't want to like necessarily rehash the topic per se, but like I feel like when 13 and 13-2 came out, it was like this weird era for me specifically because I felt like games weren't good. Like I felt like that was the I'm trying to think of what it was, like 2013, 2014, like late, or 20, even 2012, like late PS3 life cycle, where I just felt like games were coming out and they all looked the same, and like
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe if like graphics, like it just felt like graphics weren't good and everything looked muddy, and I don't know what about, like I just felt like games just weren't great then. Like I don't know what it is
Right.
about it. Like it's, but specifically I remember like not liking those two games the way they looked, and I thought like there were no good RPGs. I'm like, there's no fucking good JRPGs.
Well, there wasn't many at that point in time.
Yeah.
That's a fact, you know.
So I just like I remember that like that was when like games like fucking Ashura's Wrath were coming out, like just like fucking just weird, like like it's hard to describe it, but it's definitely
Yeah.
like I remember like I was a big sports gamer then. I'm like, thank God. I was like, so um, have you noticed what's going on? I know we kind of touched on it, and we find a way to fucking do this, and I feel like it's because we're like sick puppies. We're like lost puppies. We just got to find our way home. So we're, for the umpteenth time, going to talk about fucking Square.
We have to.
It's like we
We
can't.
absolutely have to.
It's like I can't fucking help myself. Like I don't understand.
We have to
But
call them out every single week.
well, I don't think they did anything wrong. So I don't know if they're getting called out per se. But have you noticed what they've been doing over here on Switch?
Where they're like releasing things.
Yeah,
And
I just feel like
I don't know what you're talking about.
well, all right. So you know how like Bravely Default came out, or Bravely Default 2, then you had Octopath Traveler, then you have
Mhm.
Triangle Strategy, and then there's Dio Field Chronicle now. Like
Mhm.
these games that all have like the same font style, um, and I'm just like, when did they get this relationship with Nintendo that, and maybe I mean I know they had a history with them dating back pre PS1, but like when did they get this relationship with Nintendo that like Nintendo gets all these RPGs from them?
I think when it comes to Square Enix, they dump their smaller titles on the Switch because I think the idea, if I had to guess, the idea is that graphics don't really matter
Yeah,
on the Switch, which is, I mean, is arguably true. Um, but Square Enix has been doing this forever, man. Like they just dump games with a spread shot approach. Like Bravely Default isn't on PlayStation, right?
right.
But Bravely Default 2 is coming to PlayStation.
Yeah,
and it doesn't make sense. But then if you look at Square's history, it's like, okay, it actually does make sense because they do this shit all the time. Look at the Kingdom Hearts series.
Yeah.
You cannot play the Kingdom Hearts series all the way. Well, you couldn't for the longest time, all the way through on one console or even one ecosystem.
Yeah.
You had to bounce around from the PS2 to the fucking PSP to the DS. It was ridiculous. But I don't know. Square just does whatever they want, man. There's no rhyme or reason to Square Enix's plans. They are Kefka. They're the Joker.
Kefka, they are the Joker.
They are just chaos personified.
Well, because and then sometimes I look at some of these games like Live Alive. I still haven't bought yet, but I really want to because it looks really good, and I played the demo and I'm really into it. I've heard really good things about Triangle Strategy, like really, really good things. So like, my ears are perked up, so I might get into that, but I might have to play the demo first. But like Diofield Chronicle looks like a PS2 game, so I don't know how I feel about it. Like graphically, it doesn't look great, but like I just feel like you're right. Like they just put all these games on Switch, and then but I can't help it. Like I buy them up, and it's a problem for me because I'm staring at my Switch collection here, and I have Collection of Mana, I have Trials of Mana, and these I think the Trials of Mana is multi-platform, I believe. I have World Ends With You, Neo World Ends With You. I have Bravely Default. I have what else do we have here? I've downloaded. I have Octopath Traveler. I have I think I actually bought. No, I have the demo for Triangle Strategy, but and I have the Kingdom Hearts rhythm game randomly, but I just feel like I just keep buying up. Oh, and I have Dragon Quest XI on Switch. Well, because I heard that's the best version.
It is,
which is weird, but
I mean, it's also on Game Pass now as well, the definitive version.
Yeah, which I think I owned it before it came to Game Pass. So I'm just like, well, shit. I still haven't played that game. I mean, I almost said beat. I played a ton of it. I played the demo and then just I never even completed the demo. I'm so ashamed.
Dragon Quest is good because it is a very mindless. Like it's not that story heavy. There's a plot, but it's not.
Are there any Dragon Quests that have good plots? I don't think that's a franchise that has deep stories.
I would say 11 has a good plot. 11 has a good plot, but it's just there. It's not front and center, I would say. But it's more front and center than it is in the other Dragon Quest games.
How do you feel about the more edgy Dragon Quest coming out?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, you think you're ready for that?
Yeah, I mean, I like Dragon Quest 11 quite a bit, and
but was it edgy?
It did well. Well, what's wrong with edgy?
Well, because a lot of there's a sect of the fan base that just wants happy fun Dragon Quest, happy fun Akira Toriyama art design, little cheesy characters, that's what they want. But then Dragon Quest 12, I haven't seen any gameplay of it. I don't know if there is any, but they said it's gonna be a darker Dragon Quest game.
I mean, Akira Toriyama, it's not like we're still in the era where Akira Toriyama is doing all the art forever on these games.
Yeah.
Akira Toriyama is gonna do the original sketches, and then Dragon Ball's pretty fucking edgy. You know?
Can I give a hot take here?
Yeah.
Has the shine worn off with Akira Toriyama art? Not saying it's bad, but has the novelty kind of taken its place, run its course?
Not for me. I mean, Akira Toriyama art, I think, it's a staple, and it's the one art that I can differentiate from every other fucking manga anime artist out there, But he does it a really special way. Now his apprentice that does Dragon Ball Super is really good at imitating his art, but even he's not perfect. You can tell when Akira Toriyama does the actual art. So I don't know. I like Akira Toriyama. I think he's great.
Yeah, I'm not saying
it's a shame that he can't keep his fucking story straight, but he's great. He's legendary.
Yeah, I always wonder that because I feel I'm so used to it. Like, I expect it. So like,
Hmm.
it makes me like not attached to it. Where if it's like, but I couldn't imagine them. Not that I'm a Dragon Quest fan by any stretch of the imagination, but imagine if they just like changed the art style.
Yeah,
Like, could you imagine like the meltdowns that would occur?
it'd be a fucking shit show.
It'd be fucking
But it's gonna
beautiful.
happen eventually. Like, Akira Toriyama's fucking old as fuck.
Yeah, we're gonna live in a world where he. I mean, not that I want this to happen by any means, but like unfortunately, like you said earlier, Father Time is undefeated. So
Yes,
yeah, so that's gonna be a
he's
fucking.
67 right now.
He's that young? Wow.
Yeah, I thought. I mean, that's he's almost 70. So
But still, like I
that's
thought he was like be in his 80s. Because I thought he was just
no.
older. But yeah, it's just crazy to think about. Yeah, because I don't know. When I look at Dragon Quest, like I don't know, I'm not a fan, but I want to be a fan. But like then when I play the games, I'm like, eh. So I just might not be a Dragon Quest guy, but I should be.
Give 11 a shot. I think 11 is the most accessible Dragon Quest game
I really like 11.
to date.
From what I've played of it, I really enjoyed it. Like
Yeah,
I like the story, I like the combat. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. I like the turn-based combat. When they tried to sneak in that like real-time combat shenanigans on me, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa.
that was yeah.
You
You
try to
got
get
you got to change
you
that
try to get one by the
immediately.
goalie here. Like, whoa, 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 whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
pump the fucking brakes.
whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it seems like the only series I tolerate that out of is like literally Final Fantasy. But other than
Yeah.
that, like, or not, I mean, and Tales. Like, I like the Tales combat, even though I've,
Well, I mean, that's super solid in the
yeah,
Tales
I'm on,
series.
even though I'm still on a break with the Tales franchise, still on a long break. I think the last Tales game I really played a shitload of was I played Zestiria and didn't like it, but I knew I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
Um,
Tales of Arise is fantastic.
yeah, dude, I think I've been on a break with the Tales series since like almost going on 10
Zelia 2.
years. Yeah, it's
Time to
like
get back on the
when did
horse.
Zelia 2 came out? Like 2013?
That sounds about right. 2013.
Yeah, so it's been a fucking minute. It's been a minute. Like that's a long break from a series. Because I used to love the Tales games. I was like fucking when you and I first met. Like I was cranking out Tales games like a motherfucker. I had just
Yeah.
beaten Tales of the Abyss, which was my first Tales game. Then I beat Tales of Symphonia. Then I beat Tales of Legendia, and then I beat both Zelia games. And I'm like, you know what? I'm out.
Zelia 2 was November 1st, 2012, so just about 10 years.
Yeah, so I've been on a long break. Long break. Might be time to go
Well, you
back
tried to get back in. You tried to get back in, and you chose the worst one against my judgment,
because
just because
I still
you hate
I
yourself.
still stare at the cover. That's a $60 L. That's what that is on that game shelf.
Sometimes you just gotta eat it, bud.
Yeah,
Move on.
yeah. Oh, we've moved on. Like I don't plan on looking at that game ever again. But yeah, that's a $60 L. That and Star Ocean 5, just $120 of L.
You did beat Star Ocean 5 though,
I did beat it because I was like, motherfucker. I was like, you're
against
not.
your better judgment.
Yeah. Well, dude, you know what? You know what's weird? I'm glad I played that game because like it woke me to Star Ocean. Like I used to be a mindless Star Ocean guy. Like I really liked Till the End of Time. I didn't beat The Last Hope because some asshole we used to be friends with spoiled it. And then like I played 5. I'm like, oh no. And
Yeah, it's not all good. Not all
yeah,
good.
and I feel like the new one looks bad. And I'm gonna say it. I don't trust Triace. I don't trust that
I don't
developer
either. I don't
because
either.
Resonance of Fate, bad game.
Yep, definitely.
So that's essentially all I had to say. What do you got left for us, buddy? You got anything in closing? Anything you want to get off your
Um,
chest?
read Berserk.
Read Berserk. I've never read a manga. Fun fact.
Well, you can read Berserk all for free online.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
You can just go to berserkchapters.com
Oh,
and read it.
can I read it on my Kindle?
Yeah.
Oh, I might
In
do
your web
that.
browser, berserkchapters.com. Read it.
Okay, all right, might do that. Might do that.
Good
Uh,
time.
yeah. Wow. That's because I feel like I need to like Berserk. I feel like that's right up my alley. There's a Dreamcast game for Berserk that I really want because it looks really good, but it's expensive.
Dude. I'll send you the link to the website that
Yeah,
has a little Berserk
send Daddy a
context.
link.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say, man. Let's
Let's bring her home. Let's bring her home.
bring
So,
her home. Wrap her up.
stay tuned. Later this week, we will be recording some Kiseki Cast, where
Let's
Seth and
go.
I will go balls deep into the Trails series, specifically the Arabonia arc, because that's the arc we're most familiar we're the arc we're most familiar with, and then as we get through other arcs, we're gonna probably do recap shows as far as like
Yep.
if say when we do the cross spell arc, because I'm assuming you and I are gonna be playing that arc around the same time. Um,
Yeah, probably.
so we'll do that. But yeah, we're big Kaseki guys here. So just make sure you stay tuned for that. Check us out on Facebook. Like us and follow us on Instagram at alpha_nerds_prime. And again, give us a subscribe on the YouTube channel. Give us some love there. Give us the clicks. Give us the views. Leave a comment. Maybe tell us how much you hate us. Maybe tell us how we're wrong. Our opinions are wrong. But engage with us. And that's all I got to say.
That's all.
All right, guys. Great show. Thank you, everyone. And remember, when in doubt, square up, throw down.
Wrap her up.